Namaste, welcome everyone. So we just done some kirtan meditation, so repetition of mantra all together with instruments. And next we'll do some japa meditation, which is more of a individual personal practice using the rosary, or what's called in Sanskrit japamala. And so we'll be repeating the same mantra but slower, and we'll do it all together out loud. And this is very good for improving focus and concentration. And the technique is, you'll see on your mala that there's a head bead, this one here. We don't chant on that, we go to the side, to the largest bead, and we chant one mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And then move to the next one, next one, next one. We'll do one full round, 108, and when you get to here, then you turn around and go back the other way, but we'll just be doing one today. Any questions on that? You'll pick it up. Krishna says in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita that there's so many distractions in life, and if your intelligence is not resolute, it doesn't have focus and determination, then you'll just get lost in so many side paths, and you'll never find any auspicious destination, and you'll have no true meaningful purpose in life. You'll just be wandering around here and there, moving from one thing to the next. And in the Tao Te Ching it is said, the great way is easy, yet people prefer the side paths. So to be established in truth and to be established in yoga and a loving relationship with reality, with Sri Krishna, it's actually very simple. But we have such a life of distraction, getting distracted constantly by so many side paths. Good cooking, nice TV, this and that, here and there, nice music, and we just ignore the simple truth that would bring our heart contentment. So the great way is actually easy, and we can bring that about by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So let's begin. So we'll all repeat together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Just taking a moment, noticing any effects of the practice. Noticing how you feel, any effects on the nervous system. When you're ready, slowly opening the eyes if you have them closed and coming back to present. When we're chanting this mantra, there's no need to have the conception that you are the doer and you are actualizing the sound by the vibration of your tongue, because these names are actually transcendental, spiritual, from the spiritual world, and we want to invite them to appear and dance upon our tongue. It's not a material sound vibration, and we just need to hear the mantra. So completely absorb your mind in the sound and hear, become clear, clear, clear. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnanandana Salakaya Chakshu Anmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Narayana Parayana Jara Ankara Nashana Rupa Nugametra Prem Parojana
Te Namah. Namo Vishnu Padaya Radhikaye Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayana Namane. So first of all, giving respects to the spiritual master who, with the torchlight of divine knowledge, brings us out of the forest of darkness, the forest of confused thinking. And paying homage to my whole lineage of realized masters. And last but not least, giving respects to everyone here, my dear brothers and sisters. So today's topic is non-attachment and shedding layers of illusion. And today is also the appearance day, right? Narayan Maharaj, disappearance day of our Param Guru Dev, so our Guru's Guru. So I also want to share just a little bit of katha from him as well. So there was one female disciple of Narayan Maharaj, our Param Guru Dev, Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj, and she was going through a suffering condition. So she wrote him one letter. And very much, we're the center of our own universe. If your friend is going through a hard time, some struggle, we can give some compassion, we can give some empathy. But then if something happens in our life, you stub your toe or anything, and it's like, because we're very much the center of our own universe. And this is very natural in the conditioned state. But having our whole orientation in life just centered around our egoic persona, this actually brings a lot of suffering. So I'll just read parts of this letter this lady wrote. I became quite unwell for some time. And she's just describing how she's going through some things. And then Narayan Maharaj is saying, Dear daughter, you are a very soft-hearted sadhaka, and you have the nature of a delicate flower. Why have you come within my vicinity and ended up under the sway of the cunning Sri Krishna? Because Krishna is very tricky. Now seeing your weeping, I also feel remorse. If you take note of the suffering devotees, starting from Meera, the sufferings of Prahlad Maharaj, the sufferings of the Pandavas, including the sufferings of Draupadi, Sita Devi, because in the scriptures, not just the Vedic scriptures, but the histories of many traditions around the world, the great personalities in these traditions, they actually went through so much suffering. Like Jesus' his life was not all roses. And a lot of these personalities, they're actually remembered for their triumph and adversity through the challenges that they faced in life. And in traditional times, these stories of these great personalities, they would be constantly narrated in the community and the family as sources of inspiration, and also to awaken us out of the dream of just being totally enamored in our own mental story. Because when we're just totally absorbed in our own individual mental story, then this is a great cause of suffering. And when we open to the wider threads of reality, you'll see that many personalities are always going through so much challenges, and it's part of this creation to experience expansion and contraction, breathing in, breathing out, summer, autumn, winter, spring. There's always a variety of change within the flow of this material cosmos, and we can often be absorbed in very static ideas of how we want things to be. Oh, I just want to be happy all the time, or I just want to have a particular state of consciousness, and I just want to be fixed in that state of consciousness permanently with no variety. And actually this is very much divorced from reality, because the truth of the human experience is, while you are incarnate in a human body, there will be a whole array of emotions that move through your being, and we're not really in control of what emotions come through, because if we were in control of that, then we'd just be able to switch it on and off like a light switch. But the fact is we cannot. But we create this mental narrative, oh, I just want to stay in one state all the time. But actually, reality calls forth for you to embody different states at different times. Because if you are just in a total state of peaceful passivity all the time, if you see some child running in front of a bus, what are you going to do? So sometimes life calls for action, or you see a baby crying, oh, everything is one, why tend to the baby? So we become very absorbed in these static ideas, and if I'm not abiding in the static idea that I have, then it causes great suffering for us. So Arjuna, in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he's suggesting to Krishna, oh, maybe I just become a sadhu and renounce action. Maybe I can just go off to a cave in the Himalayas. But throughout the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is imparting transcendental knowledge to Arjuna, and he's engaging him to act. So I want to share a little bit from second chapter of Bhagavad Gita today. So in verse 44 of second chapter, Krishna is saying, essentially, for those whose minds are carried away by the side paths, worldly pleasures, and including subtle pleasures, trying to go to some celestial sphere, which is still karmic and still temporary, then they can never be fixed and resolute in their focus. And so they're always just in a state of constant distraction. In the words of the Buddha, attachment is the cause of suffering. And the more attached you are to something, that just as much as you are attached to something, that equal amount of suffering will be there when that thing is taken away from you. So if you're not so attached to something, when you lose it, no big deal. But if you are very attached to something, then you'll suffer that much. And so when we begin to awaken to this truth that attachment is the cause of suffering, then often the conditioned human mind pendulums from one perspective to the other, one perspective to the other. So then we want to go into perhaps a state of renunciation. I'm going to renounce my attachment to everything. I'm going to run off to a cave. And that may be useful for some time, but it's not really suited for most people in the world. And running away from your problems doesn't actually necessarily evolve your consciousness to move through that level of attachment. Just like there was one yogi in a cave in the Himalayas, and he was meditating there for quite some time, and he was very peaceful, very shanti, and he lived about 3 k's from a village. And every now and again, the village people, they will collect food and drop it off to that Babaji. And so he thought he'd attained siddhi, perfection, in his practice, transcended the lower gunas of nature, and was just Om Shanti all the time. And then the Kumbh Mela came. So every 12 years they have Maha Kumbh Mela, the biggest religious festival on earth. And it's at various locations here in India. And so at this time it was at Haridwar. And so all the yogis from the Himalayas, they come down from all over India actually, and they meet at the place where they're holding the Kumbh Mela, and everyone takes bath in the Ganges River at a particular muhurta, a particular astrological calculation to get maximum benefit. So this yogi came down from the Himalayas, he came to Haridwar, and then everyone was trying to take bath right at this muhurta, this exact moment. And there was so many people. Not sure if you've been to an Indian festival, but it's crazy. So as he was trying to take bath, another sadhu stepped on his toe, and then he said, "Oh, don't you know who I am? I'm a Siddha yogi, you just give me some space." And then so that other yogi said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize who you are, but please tell me one thing. Why did you get annoyed when I stepped on your toe?" And then that yogi realized, "Oh, actually, I haven't transcended any of my mind stuff. It's just I was in a cave and no one was there to trigger me." So when we get fixed on these static ideas of just trying to run away from the world, that's not necessarily a solution to that level of consciousness. So Krishna's actually rejecting that as a path, as a prescription. And it's better to engage in your activities in the world, but without attachment to the fruits of it. Because all of us are born in a particular location, in a particular time, place and circumstance, and there are some duties in relation to that. For example, very much in the Indian culture, the older son has a lot of responsibility towards the family. And if you have children, this kind of thing, it's maybe not so suitable to just leave those children and run off to a cave in the Himalayas, although that does happen. So the path is easy for those who have no preferences. So even if you have so many duties in life, if you are not attached to the outcome of performing those duties, so Krishna is prescribing, do your duties to the best of your ability, but do not be attached to the fruits of those activities. And then in this way, wisdom will begin to arise in the consciousness. Because if you just renounce the worldly pleasures, but actually you haven't got over your attachment to them, then Krishna says this is a bit hypocritical actually, and he doesn't recommend that. So many false gurus, they pretend to be big time gurus, and they maybe get many followers by speaking what people like to hear, but then you end up hearing so much controversy around them, having some sexual affair or wanting so many cars or diamonds or money. It's because they actually haven't overcome these lower samskaras. So it's better off to be honest with yourself and engage in a path that does not propagate duplicity within your consciousness. As I've shared a few times, through life we have so many experiences, and these experiences, they leave impressions. The Sanskrit word is called samskara, and another term you could use is maybe layers. They leave layers in the subtle body, in the consciousness, and these layers of impression, they begin to cover the radiance of the soul, of our true nature, and we lose touch with our actual true identity, and we become identified with the layers or impressions within our consciousness. And these impressions, there's actually endless impressions stored in the subconscious mind. So the term is called bij or seed. So there's just an endless amount of karmic seeds stored in your subconscious mind. and you can only experience a certain fraction of those karmic seeds germinate and come to fruition and give fruit in this life. Sometimes the fruit is bitter, sometimes the fruit is sweet. And you may think, oh, I've moved through this particular karmic patterning, but actually it's just become Vikshchinya is just rotated back to the subconscious part of the mind and it's no longer active. So one time there was one sage, his name was Subari Rishi, and he was an adept in the Raj Yoga system, particularly in the fourth limb pranayama. So he was sitting underwater in a river and he was doing his meditation, his pranayama, and he wasn't breathing. He completely mastered the system of pranayama and he was just in samadhi for a very long time. So he was doing his meditation in the river, and then along came two fish. He thought he had totally transcended all attachment to the material world. So these two fish, they came along and they were mating in front of him. And then this activated in his consciousness, oh, actually, I want to enjoy with one lady. So then, he let out his prana, bubbles started coming out, he got out of the river, and he went to the nearest king. And, you know, if you stay in the bathtub for a while, your skin goes like a date, all wrinkled and shriveled up, you know. So he was under the water for so long, just think how he looked. So he went to the king and looking like a shriveled up date, and he said, I want to marry one of your daughters. And then all the daughters, the king had 50 daughters, and they all looked at him and like, not me, and they were putting their sister forward, marry her. And then yogis, by the power of their meditation, they get siddhi, mystic powers. So by his siddhi, he transforms his form into a very handsome male form. And then all those princesses, they became very attracted. And he ended up marrying all 50 of them. So then he was enjoying with those princesses for a very long time. And then after some time, he thought, oh, what was I doing? I was meditating, I was trying to realize my soul, I was trying to realize God. I thought I transcended the material attachments, and now I've completely gone back into illusion. So then he gave up all those princesses and he went back to his meditation. So when we're doing a sadhana, a spiritual practice, which is instigated by our own effort, by our own step-by-step elevation, then because you are the primary driving force behind that sadhana, there's always a danger that you can fall from that place, because it's instigated essentially from the ego. And we were hearing yesterday how this whole material cosmos is a combination of the three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas, the three energies. And these three energies, they're never stable for long. So even sattva gun, the mode of equilibrium, clarity and goodness, still there will be movement in that. So Subari Rishi, he was in sattva gun, but because even your ego itself is comprised of these gunas, this material nature, so it doesn't actually allow you to transcend from that. So these practices can be okay, but still we need to take shelter of bhakti, because bhakti shakti is transcendental, swarup shakti, the spiritual energy, and it is beyond the three gunas, the three modes of material nature. And without taking shelter of bhakti, no matter what religious tradition you come in, no matter what practice you meditate, if it doesn't deliver you to the platform of bhakti, sooner or later you will fall from that position. And there are so many histories in the Puranas of many great rishis falling back into illusion because their practice was instigated by self-elevationism. So Krishna says also in chapter 2, the yogi who is united with me in bhakti and devotion, and who is exclusively fixed upon me, should sit having regulated all his senses, and one whose senses are under control is certainly of steady wisdom. So we were hearing yesterday how particularly Rajagun, the energy of passion, creativity and dynamism, is very unstable, and Krishna is giving some instruction here of how to regulate your life in such a way that you will become the master of your mind instead of the mind and the senses having mastery over you. And one very helpful method for this is to start to regulate the flow that is coming in through the senses, because this body, it is like one kingdom, and this kingdom has 9 gates, 2 eyes, 2 ears, 1 mouth, anus, genitals, and in this way things are always coming in and out of this kingdom. And we want to be like a king reigning over his kingdom, but at the moment whatever is coming in and out of these gates, these senses, it has complete control over us, and we just follow this impulse wherever it is. And it's not just the physical senses themselves, but it's also the mind as one subtle sense. So the 6th sense is the mind, and whatever's coming in and out of the mind, it has complete control over us. So in India there's this term Maharaj, and Maharaj means king. So if you see some sadhu, often we address him as Maharaj. But Maharaji, this person, he has only a dhoti, no pockets even to put money in, no kingdom, no queen, no chariots, nothing. He has nothing. So why do we call him Maharaj? Because he has complete control over his mind and over his senses. So he is administrating over his kingdom, over his mind-body complex. He's ruling from the place of Atma, from the soul. So he is really Maharaj, and a king in this world who is completely dominated by eating nice food, wanting to enjoy so many things by following the desires of the mind, greed for more power and control. They are a complete slave to the impulses coming in through the gross senses and through the subtle sense of the mind. So, on this topic of attachment, regulating the senses is very vital in this regard, such as activities of eating sattvic, healthy, vegetarian food, like I shared yesterday, I think it was, about the power of food and the energy that's in food, and then that goes into your consciousness. Trying to regulate your sleep patterns. In so many ways we can try to regulate your life as practically as possible, and this will help calm the mind, because when our daily activities are very unsettled, predominated by Rajagun, then all this feeds into the mind space and creates further and further oscillation within the mind, and we become more and more identified with the samskaras, the layers of illusion within the space of the mind. And then we just start to dwell on the sense objects, on the desires that come forth in the mind. And Krishna says, by dwelling on these sense objects, a person develops attachment for them, and from attachment, desire ensues. And from unfulfilled desires, anger arises. So anytime you are angry or someone else is angry, it's a direct result that their desire has not been fulfilled. And because their desire is frustrated, then they become very angry at that. And this is actually the cause of pretty much all diseases, because it imbalances the pitta dosha within the body, and then from there it starts to physically manifest as some ailment. So this energy of lust to
either have some kind of physical object or some kind of mental, emotional experience, it is all consuming like a fire. And the more you dwell on a desired object or experience, then the more and more your mind becomes consumed by that. And when we don't get that object of desire, then we become angry. And then from anger, Krishna is saying here, from anger comes delusion. And from delusion, memory is distorted. From distortion of memory, discernment is lost. And when discernment is lost, one perishes. So maybe once or twice in your life, you've become a little bit angry. And when you become angry, then you make so many rash decisions. You say so many things that you regret later on. So when this fire of anger coming from an unfulfilled desire arises in the consciousness, all our vivek, all our discrimination, discernment, our higher intellectual faculty, it's no longer online at that time, and we become completely consumed within this fire of lust. So regulating the senses is very useful in this regard. And Krishna is also prescribing here non-attachment to action. So he's not saying don't act, because even inaction is a form of action, and there'll be a reaction for not acting. You catch that? So if sometimes we think, oh, I don't know what to do, so then I'll just do nothing. But even doing nothing, that also has a result. So it's very tricky in this way. Karma will catch you. And when we're in a state of confusion, state of anger, state of confused thinking, all the time we don't know what to do. So we either make a bad decision or we don't do anything. But both of them lead to karmic results. So Krishna's suggesting a better general prescription is to act, do the best of your ability, but with no attachment to the fruit. Because if you really act, or even in conversation, really be honest to the best of your ability, then your mind will be peaceful. If your mind's not peaceful, then you can be introspective and see there's been some aspect of an action or a conversation where I wasn't completely transparent, I wasn't completely truthful, and because I wasn't completely truthful, then it creates some disturbance in the mind. But if you are completely truthful to the best of your ability in that current moment, then there'll be no space in the mind for the karmas to catch. But because we're always shading things with the agenda of the ego based on the samskaras, on the impressions and layers within the consciousness, then the ego is always trying to navigate in this world to keep itself in the center. And because this central persona is based upon illusion, then it's constantly got to drag in more and more illusions to try and keep itself alive. It's very tricky. And Krishna is also saying here, a person whose mind and senses are uncontrolled cannot develop proper discernment, nor can he be God-conscious. Moreover, one who is not God-conscious cannot attain peace, and without peace of mind, how can a person attain true happiness? So this may seem, a little bit religious. How can someone not be at peace without being God-conscious? So we're just sharing yesterday, exploring how through rationale and logic, exploring the topic of natural theology, it is inevitable, you have to come to the conclusion whether the base level of reality is formless or with form in terms of a simplex, a fundamental particle of reality. Either one of those two options, you cannot escape that God is a necessary being. So when we come to the realization that God is a necessary being, and we expand our contextual horizon from not just being absorbed in our little egoic agenda and the dreamscape of the mind, to waking up to truth, to the reality of this planet, to the whole cosmos and the greater reality beyond, then you come to, it's all inclusive in the realization of God. And all fear, Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, he has a nice quote that all fear, it arises from forgetfulness of our common guardian. So when we're in a state of fear, then we're very much disconnected with the harmony that pervades reality, because there is always a harmony that is pervading everything. So I'm not suggesting that there's not scope to try and make things a little bit nicer in this world, or bring about less chaos, but everything's perfect on one level of perception. And when we're in a state of fear, because there's essentially two operating systems, we're either operating from fear or we're operating from love. And when we're operating from fear, we're trying to escape. It's another aspect of fear. And so then when we're operating from a fear-based system, then we're trying to escape the perceived aspect of reality that's going to bring more suffering. So then we're grasping for this idea that we have in our head that, oh, this is going to bring me happiness. So this is raga dvesha, always reaching for something and pushing something else away. Oh, I don't want these shoes, I want these new shoes. I don't want to be in this world, I want to be in heaven. I want to be essentially anywhere but right here, right now. And that movement in itself, that is the greatest cause of suffering. Just being in that hamster wheel of pushing something away and reaching for something else, which you never quite get, because as soon as you get that thing, then you want the next thing, and you never actually obtain a lasting state of contentment that you're looking for, because you actually have to transcend that level of consciousness to come to the place of equilibrium. So that's why Krishna is suggesting here non-attachment to the fruits of your activity. So still act in this world, and then wisdom will come online, that a higher level of consciousness will begin to develop, rather than just operating from a place of craving and aversion, fear and escape, because it's very rare that we operate from a place of love, because even when we're loving, we're still fearing. Like, what if this person leaves me, or you need to do this, or you need to do that? Still, often our love in this world is very much fear-based, because if you really love someone, then our understanding of love is that to please the object of your love is the most important thing before your own happiness. And often we can be loving someone with the idea, if I just love them, then they'll love me back, or it'll bring me the happiness that I want. And there's nothing wrong with that. This is part of the natural human conditioning. But still, it's a reaching, it's a grasping for something. And so that's not really truly love. That's like a business transaction. And when that business transaction is not met from the other end, then you get very disturbed by it. And then you push that thing away and you reach for the next person, the next object, the next thing. So we're always in this path of raga dvesha. So these senses, they're always gravitating towards their objects. The eyes like to look at beautiful things, the ears like to hear beautiful sounds, the skin likes to touch nice objects, whatever you think is nice. But they can be very powerful, particularly when our mind is in an unsteady state, and then it can become like a boat upon the ocean with no anchor, and is just drifting about aimlessly. And then this impulse of the sense, it engages the mind to fulfill this impulse, and then the mind is following this impulse of the sense, and then your soul, the free will of the soul is completely covered, and you're just following the dictates of the mind and the senses. And for most of us, this is our whole experience of life. either following the impulse of the gross senses or the impulse of the subtle sense of the mind. And the mind is conditioned by society, by the family. Your family wants you to do this, your family wants you to do that, you should get a job, you should do this, you should do that, you should get some qualification, because this is what society says you should do. All this is just impulses in the mind. It's totally disconnected from your soul. It's totally disconnected from truth, and it's totally disconnected from any level of spiritual realization. I'm not saying that it's not relatively, it's relatively wrong. Yes, you need to be engaged, but it's not your nitya dharma. It's not the eternal function of your soul to just be following the dictates of the mind and the body. So Krishna says an interesting verse here that for those who have awareness of the self, then that is like the night for all conditioned beings, and the daytime for the conditioned beings is like nighttime for the yogis. Or in other words, most people, they think, oh, this is daytime and I'm very smart, I'm very awake, but really we're just asleep at the wheel, following the dictates of the mind, the dictates of the body. And for the yogi, he's going in a completely opposite direction. And so for the general masses, it looks like, oh, what are these people doing? Chanting, following God. Why don't they get a job? Why don't they get a haircut? Why don't they put on some trousers? It looks like they're asleep. But really, the people who are following this, really sincerely following the spiritual path, they are really following the auspicious path in life. And this is really daytime. And for everyone else, it is simply like a nighttime slumber lost in the dreamscape of their mind. So by expanding our contextual horizon, by chanting the names of God, then God slowly will reveal himself in your consciousness if you're chanting the names correctly under the guidance of Guru and other senior practitioners. And then your whole contextual horizon will expand so much just from your limited tiny dreamscape of yourself, and your whole reality will transform and your consciousness will become very, very deep like the ocean. So Krishna says a very beautiful verse here at the end of chapter 2. Just as rivers flow into the ocean, which although remains completely full, remains immovably fixed within its boundaries. So the sage whom all enjoyments without causing any mental modification attains peace, but a person who hankers after such enjoyment. Okay, so many desires are coming into your mind, like rivers flow into the ocean, but the ocean never breaks its bank and overflows. So for one whose consciousness is very deep, the impulses of the senses, they are flowing in like rivers, but because their consciousness is so deep, then they can remain peaceful like the depths of the ocean. And for one whose consciousness is very, very shallow, when any impulse comes in, either grossly or subtly through the mind, then their tiny little consciousness overflows and creates so much disturbance. So Krishna is there waiting for us on the transcendental plane if we're just willing to allow ourselves to let go of this adherement to the layers of conditioning. But because these samskaras, these impressions in the consciousness, we have so many beliefs, and our identity is intermingled with these impressions. And because our identity is intermingled with these impressions, there's a great fear in letting go of that identity. And so because we don't want to let go of that identity, even if our identity is causing us suffering or is not actually a happy identity, the human condition is such, generally we want to stay with what is familiar, even if that familiar place is not so nice, and because it's very fearful to step into the unknown. what's in the unknown? I better just stay onto my suffering mental prison because at least I know what that's like. And to step through the doorway into the spiritual consciousness, you have to let go completely who you think you are, all of it. And what does that look? That is the most fearful thing for many people. So that's why they want to hold on to their illusion. And this is the greatest cause of suffering, because that egoic conceptual self has no end in attachments to things to try and keep itself alive. And then we're just constantly in this hamster wheel of cycle going around and around and around, trying to keep this false idea of self alive. And so on the one hand, it's a great burden to be engaged in that all the time. And to let go of each layer is a great relief. So you've got two aspects. It's a great relief to let go of these monkeys upon your back, but then it's also brings about a lot of fear because you're shedding layers of identity. So one day there was a kingdom, and the kingdom was very prosperous. The rivers flowed, the fruit and vegetables were abundant. Everyone was happy and peaceful. But the king and the queen, they had one problem. They didn't have any children. And they wanted an heir to the throne. They wanted a son. And the queen, she used to like to go out to the forest just beyond the kingdom and walk in the woods. So one evening she was walking, and she come to a glade in the forest by a river, and she sat down, and she could hear the flow of the water moving, the sway of the treetops in the wind, and she was just sitting there. And then she started to think about how she could not have children, and that grief started to well up from inside her, and she started to cry. And the sound of her tears, they echoed throughout the glade, and it caught the attention of one crone, one old lady. And so that old lady came over and she said, "Oh, my dear queen, what's the problem?" And so the queen, she shared her heart. I can't have any children. Because for those in the female body, this impulse can be very strong at times. So that old crone, she said, "Oh, I think I can help you with that." So she gave the queen a mantra, and she gave her 2 onions, one peeled and one was not peeled. And she said, "You go back to the castle, and tonight you put these 2 onions under a bowl and you chant a mantra over the bowl." So the queen done that evening, and then the next day she lifted the bowl, and there are the 2 onions, one peeled, one not peeled. And when she was at the glade, the crone said, "Only eat one onion, the unpeeled onion. Don't eat both of them." So the queen lifted the bowl, 2 onions, and she thought, wow, no harm in eating both of them, might as well do the job right. So she ate both the onions. And then in due course of time she became pregnant, and the time come for her to give birth. So she went to the maternity room in the castle, and no men were allowed there. It was just the queen and the midwife. So she's giving birth, and then from out of her womb comes one very strange creature, like a worm, like a snake-like creature. And the midwife was quite shocked, so she took that creature and she threw it out in the forest. And then she said to the queen, "Let us never speak of this again." And in some versions the queen doesn't even know, only the midwife saw that creature. And then again from her womb another being came, and this time it was a beautiful baby boy, everything they ever wanted. So the queen and the king, they were so happy. And the son, he was growing up and he was schooled in all the classical arts that a future king should be trained in, such as archery, warfare, politics, all these sorts of things. And so then he came of age, and he wanted to get married. And so he asked permission from his mother and father, I want to leave the kingdom and I want to go and find my wife. So they agreed, and they gave him blessings, and then off he went on a horse, and he'd actually travelled not too far into the forest, just outside the kingdom. And then he came across a very strange creature. This worm like a dragon with no legs. And then that dragon said to him, that lindworm said to him, hello, brother. And then that prince said, brother? I don't know anything about a brother. And then that lindworm said, the older son marries first. And then that prince said, wow, let's go back to the kingdom. So the prince, along with the lindworm, they went back to the castle, and they went to the parents. And then they asked the mother, and they got the midwife there, and they said, because the king had no idea about this. And then the king said, is this true? And then the queen and the midwife said, yes, there's an older brother. And then the king and the queen, they talked amongst themselves, and they're like, we agree, the older son should marry first, so we need to find you a bride. So then they looked about the kingdom, and they found a very nice bride, and the lindworm and the bride, they got married with full royal ceremony. And then that night they went to their private chambers, and the lindworm, he consumed his new bride. All that was left was a pile of bones. And then so this was a problem. And then so again they got another lady. She married the lindworm, but again she was consumed. All that was left was a pile of bones. And then this went on for a few times, and word spread around the kingdom that all these brides, they just get devoured. So then the king and the queen, they had to start by force choosing women, because there was no longer any volunteers. So it was like a lottery, and if your name got picked, then your daughter's off to the lindworm. So this started happening, and then amongst the city they were running short on women, and so they had to start looking outside in the countryside. And then one simple country girl, she was chosen, and then her family was notified, and they were in shock. They didn't want to lose their darling daughter. And then the daughter said, don't worry, family, I will find a way, everything will be okay. So then she left her little simple country home, and she was walking to the palace. And she was walking through the forest, and she came to a glade with a river, and the treetops were moving, and she sat down in the glade, and she was just thinking about her fate that awaited her. And she started to cry, and the sound of her tears echoed through the glade and caught attention of one old crone, one old lady. And so then that lady came over, and she said, oh, my darling daughter, what's the problem? And then she shared what was going on. And then that crone said, you know, I think I can help with this. So then she gave that young girl some instructions and a list of things she had to get. And that young girl, she carried on to the castle, and she had to collect so many things: 12 dresses, so much milk, a harsh scrubbing brush, lye like caustic soap. Somehow she got all of this and was carrying it, and she went into the kingdom, and then she married the lindworm with full ceremony. And then that night they went back to the private chambers, and then the lindworm, he said to that girl, his new bride, oh, take off your dress. And that girl said to the lindworm, okay, but I want you to shed one layer of your skin. So the Lindworm thought about it and thought, okay, fair enough. So he shed one layer of skin, and it actually felt pretty good to let go of that. And then she took off her dress to reveal another dress underneath. And then the Lindworm said, take off your dress. And then she said, okay, but shed another layer of skin. She's like, okay. So this one was a little bit more difficult to take off, a little bit more painful, but it felt good getting it off. And she took off her dress, another one underneath. So then this went on and on and on. And now she's getting down to the final dress. And the layers for the Lindworm were getting tougher and tougher and tougher to shed. So then she had to put the milk in the bathtub, and she soaked the Lindworm in the bathtub, and she took him out and got the scrubbing brush, and she was scrubbing this tough layer of skin, fibrous layer of skin, and then she got the lye, the caustic soap, and was pouring that on, and it stung, and she was scrubbing, peeling away this final layer. And then they both removed their final layers, and underneath the final layer of the Lindworm was a charming, handsome prince. And so then they wed, and like all good fairy tales, they lived happily ever after. If only it was that simple. So I invite you for a moment to feel into this story, not just take it on surface level, but sense into the energetic dynamics of it. And the actual union of the prince and the princess in fairy tales, it actually symbolizes union of the individual soul with the divine. And if we want union with the divine, really, we have to shed these layers of illusion. And these layers of illusion are intertwined with the ego, and each one gets more and more subtle and a bit more tricky to shed, because we may shed the layers of material ego, but then we can very much cultivate layers of spiritual ego. Oh, now I'm a spiritual person, oh, now I'm this, and now I'm that. And then again, this propagates more identity, and our union with the beloved divine, it still becomes obscured. And this is why it's people really react when you really question their deep beliefs, because this is the place where their sense of identity is most strong. So you're attacking their sense of identity when you question someone's beliefs deeply, and people don't like it. It's like shedding the skin of the Lindworm and then you have to scrub that so hard. So by regulating our senses, by following in activities, non-attachment, all these kinds of things, slowly discernment, wisdom begins to arise, and we can start to identify what is the self and what is not the self. And then yoga can really start to come about, because I'll just share one final thing from Narayan Maharaj on yoga. It's quite nice. So often in yoga, first there's if we take yoga in the sense of like, yoga is linking one thing to another thing, and in its ultimate context, linking the individual soul to the supreme soul, Radha and Krishna. And first in that process, there can be a V-yoga, a separation, cultivating discernment between what is spiritual and what is material, or in other words, what is the self and what is not the self, because we really need to cultivate this discernment, otherwise we just again get lost in the changing states of the mind. And so first there's a V-yoga, a separation of what is not true, and then the yoga can happen with two things that are eternally true. So Narayana Maharaj is saying here, nowadays yoga is very famous everywhere. The word yoga has come from the Indian Sanskrit language and it means adding two things together. But what two things? Most people don't know, but we know. We practice the real yoga. We are not this body. This body is only a bag of urine, blood, stool and other nasty things. And one day you will have to give it up. But there is a soul in this body, and the soul means you and me. And there is also a super soul, the Supreme Lord. We reside in the heart of the body along with the super soul. By practice of Bhakti Yoga, one will know I am spirit soul, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Then by love and affection, one joins together with him. And do you understand? If you want to build a wall, you lay brick after brick, but there also must be cement to hold the wall together. So similarly, if we want to have a connection with the Supreme Lord, there must be praying, there must be pure love and affection. And by love and affection, we can be with Krishna and serve him. And as a result of such service, this body, eventually it will be transformed, or we will receive a spiritual body, an everlasting body, free from birth, death, disease and old age. So it's not an easy process to let go of adhering to these layers of illusion, because we're attached in so many different ways. But paradoxically at the same time, to let go of them is the most relieving thing. There's such freedom there, and to not be carrying around this burden of illusion, it is such a relief. And then in that state of being an instrument for God, instead of putting your own self-centered desires first, then we can really be in harmony with our soul's true nature. And so this is what we're suggesting here for you to explore. And by chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, all these impurities in the heart, all these attachments to the non-self, slowly they will be washed away. And then you can be situated in that supreme yoga, that loving connection with the supreme reality, the supreme consciousness, Radha and Krishna. And then you can serve them and be a feather on the breath of God, as Saint Teresa of Avila would say. So thank you for patiently listening, and if anyone has any questions, thoughts, complaints or feedback, most welcome.
What were the steps that lead to anger? Was it the unfulfilled desire? Was that the last one? And then when that desire is fulfilled?
Yeah.
The first one is that you meditate on the object.
Yes.
First you meditate on the object, then this object comes in your consciousness, then you start to analyze it, like whatever food or a person, and then you start to analyze it, and it matches with your previous samskara, previous impression, then you like it maybe, or else you don't like it. Like you see a mango, you see it and you meditate on this mango. Wow, amazing, yes, I like it because yesterday I ate one mango like this, was so tasty. Now you desire it, now I want to experience this mango, or I want to experience this person. But then maybe you don't get this mango for some reason, and so then you become frustrated, anger because you want it, and slowly it leads to loss of memory. What means loss of memory means that you already heard from your guru that you are a soul, you are not a temporary being, and that you
start to meditate on material things and you want to enjoy them, you enter into this chain and you end up in the end with anger and a loss of whatever you heard from your guru now is gone. You cannot remember it. Now you just want to enjoy it. And you cannot enjoy it, so you just become angry, you know? So like this. So this shows how all this chain starts from meditating on material things. So that's why we do chanting a lot of Hare Krishna mantra and japa alone or in group, because then your mind become very steady and become your friend under control. So then you are controlling it. You know, this object come to your mind, not favorable, don't meditate on it. Another object come to your mind, not favorable, don't meditate on it. So you don't start the chain which leads you to fall completely. No?
What stops that chain?
If you do meditation every day on the names of God, like Hare Krishna mantra, now your mind is under control. And then when the impression of whatever is it, food or whatever is it, will come in your mind, you are not like a slave. Yes, I want it. You will discriminate. I want it. It will be favorable or not to my spiritual progression. Yes, it's favorable. Okay, I go for it. No, it's not favorable. No. Because this samskara, this impression, they cannot overpower us actually. They are not forcing us. Like you have the memory of whatever. You see one boy or one girl in the street, no? Then it matches with some previous boys or girls from previous life. I like it or I don't like it. Or food or car, trees, nature, I like cold, I like hot, anything, no? But all this memory comes in your mind, I want ice cream, I want a cigarette, I want a beer, then they cannot force you. Only if you are so much into passion and ignorance, the lower gunas, then yes, you are fully identified with it. Oh yes, I want a cigarette and I must have it, I will be happy. I want a chocolate, I want whatever is it, no? But if you are at least more into sattva guna, more into goodness, then when this idea comes, this image comes, you can discriminate it. Is favorable or not? So this is discrimination, how do you have it? You can only have it if you heard from a guru, from a transcendental person, then your discrimination is following the shastra, means the holy scripture, and the words of the saint who has the realization. Otherwise you can be sattva guna, but if you are not knowing actually what is favorable for your soul, even though you are in goodness, in a higher state of energy, still your discrimination will be not favorable, because your discrimination will be only, I will choose sattvic impression, sattvic samskara. So maybe I will say no to cigarette, I will say yes to whatever, apple or vegetarian food, no to drugs and alcohol, no? And yes to something good. But still it is material choice. Even though it is good, but it's still material. But if you heard from a spiritual master who is enlightened, then for example if the food come, yes, I choose the mango. But then you're just not going for enjoy the mango. You offer it to Krishna because you know everything is property of God. I offer to him. Then this mango becomes transcendental. Then when you take it, you go higher than Sattva-guna, for example. So everything we discriminate, yes, but everything should be according to Guru and Shastra. What you heard from an enlightened person who has realization, and what is written in the Holy Scripture. No? This is also a big question mark, because in the West we are all out of this understanding Guru, and we don't think we need a Guru, and also we have no faith in the Holy Scripture. So there is more job for us to do.
Yes.
Start to have at least faith in the Guru and in the Holy Scripture first. Then you can start to hear from them, then you can start to have faith in them, and then you can actually discriminate. So it looks like a long process, long job, but actually no. Everything is in the power of this mantra. More faith you have in the power of this mantra, and very fast you will progress.
And it's not just objects that the mind dwells upon as well. It can be in the subtle form of attachment to preferences, how we want a certain event to turn out or something like this, and then our mind becomes fixated on that. I want things to be this way, I want things to be that way. So it's not just physical objects like a mango, just how you want people to be. The mind has no end in it. And one aspect of that separation, which we'll tell this kata next week, yoga, one interpretation of yoga is yoga separates you from your mind. So then when your Atma is watching the mind, then you can choose, oh, whatever comes in the mind, do I want to act upon this or not? But when you're just situated and being the driver's seat of the mind, then there's not much choice. Whatever's coming in, you're just operating from that system. So we want to be a step back from the mind, intelligence, and then from the intelligence to Atma, Atma Shakshi, and be watching the intelligence and the mind. And then from there, really our discernment can come online. Otherwise, even just in the intelligence is not enough. So everything's in this mantra. Separate you from your mind, and then union with Krishna, Radha and Krishna. Haribol. So it's time to chant.
Benu, the last phrase was from Maharati Ramana Maharaj. The last phrase that you said. You talk about someone who said something.
This is from 11th Canto, Hamsa Avatar. He appears to the four Kumaras and Lord Brahma. And they are saying, we'll tell this full guitar maybe next week, but the senses are naturally drawn to their sense objects. Like a iron filing is naturally attracted towards a magnet, yeah? This is a natural propensity. So the natural propensity of the eyes is to look and see nice things in accordance with samskaras. You can't get away from that. The ears want to hear sound. And so if we're trying to just stop that flow, it's actually quite unnatural. So then if we're just trying to say to ourselves, oh, the eyes should not look at this, or the ears should not hear this, of course there's some regulation we can practice, but it's also, this is the natural propensity of them. So then the four Kumaras start asking this question to Lord Brahma, if this is a natural propensity, how can we stop this? Like, what is actually yoga then? And then Hamsa Avatar, he appears, and he answers in a bit of a funny way, but in the end he gradually gives the answer that yoga is to separate you from your mind. And this is something very deep and profound, because you know, we hear these things about regulating the senses and all this kind of stuff, but still it can be driven from a static idea of how one state of consciousness we want to be in all the time. And because right now, no matter what experience you're having, there's always a peacefulness. There's always a witnesshood consciousness. It's always available to you. Everything is actually arising in a state of clarity and peacefulness. But we're in such a state of distraction, we don't allow ourselves to feel into that. And so, really, yoga here is meaning when you're situated in that state of sakshitva, of witnesshood consciousness, even if there is the fluctuation of the senses towards the sense objects, they are happening in a larger space of consciousness that you're still separated from that. So that natural attraction can still be happening, but because you're not immersed in that level of consciousness, you are the witness, the shakshi to that happening. So then, that's where we want to be situated, not just in that same level of consciousness, but basically in another state of craving and aversion and pushing something away
to try and fix to some temporary sattvic state of consciousness. We want to be in the transcendental state of consciousness, and then whatever's happening in the flow of the gunas, you can see that. But that's not you. So that is yoga in that context. And then from that place, then the union with the higher yoga can come online. But when we're just lost in the gunas, how are you going to unite with Radha and Krishna? Because they're not in the gunas. Hey, Bob.